we got a Nutnfancy fan here. What's your name, dude?
Rob.
Rob, cool. Who are you with?
I'm an importer from Israel.
Right on. So you
watch all your vids. Changed a lot of the way I think. Level 1, level 2 first aids in the truck. Really appreciate all you do.
Thanks very much, sir. I appreciate it.
You got it.
We met up here at the SPYDERCO booth, man.
Yeah, dude.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the support. I'm very humbled by it.
Yeah.
You guys keep me trucking because it's a lot of work putting all this together, and it's for you, man.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Peace out, man.
Take care.
See you online. And that takes us to the SPYDERCO booth. Guess who I have in front of the camera? Mr. Ed Shimp himself. And if you don't know who Ed Shimp is, I suggest you do a little more research in the knife world. He's the one that actually put together and designed this outstanding barong. Am I right, Ed?
Yes, sir.
Previously reviewed in the Nutnfancy project. What an awesome blade that is, Ed. Man, let's start off talking about your inspiration on that. This is my knife, by the way, brought to the show.
Yes, when I started designing for SPYDERCO, my first design was the Persian, and after it seemed to fit their ethnic line, near that time, the person who was assigned the ethnic project was Edward Branicheski. Edward was assassinated by Hamas before his knives came out. In fact, the way they identified him was with the SPYDERCO knives they found with his body.
Wow.
So I've kind of taken over that ethnic responsibility. It's been the Persian models, the Chris, Kukri, Barong. This is one of the later models that have come out. The idea was to take as many aspects of an ethnic model and convert it into a folder. The bird's beak on the tail of the piece and the large leaf-shaped blade are primarily what you see in a large moral barong. So that's what I use to interpret into this piece. But any piece that I design also goes through the SPYDERCO quality control and all their testing to make sure that the knife meets SPYDERCO specifications, which I'm biased, but I believe they're the highest in the industry.
They are outstanding. I will give you that. Man, I just love this knife. It's fast, it's lightweight, it's strong, it has good sweep of blade. I think as a defensive, lightweight, tactical option, Ed, home run, brother. Home run.
Thank you very much.
Is that continuing in the SPYDERCO lineup for 2011? Because I don't see it in the back catalog.
It's discontinued.
And I like that too, actually, to be honest with you. I like that it's discontinued. It makes it more special, and SPYDERCO continues to do that.
Yes, all their knives are evaluated by sales every period. They make their decisions year to year on what they will move ahead on. It happened that the Barong and the Kukri happened to come out at the same time. So with the ethnic designs, they're non-traditional, so unless people actually handle and use the knives, they really don't know the aspect of what the knife was designed to do and how well it cuts.
So do you think it's fair to say that unless a guy got a hold of a Barong or a Kukri that you designed, that they really wouldn't know what a great knife it is?
Visually, it might attract a few people, but I think tactically, once you have it in your hand, then you begin to understand that it is a comfortable, safe using tool.
I totally agree. Look at my review if you don't believe me. I said as much in my review. Outstanding knife. Hopefully you got one if you loved it. Okay, dudes, we are relocated with Ed Shimp at the SPYDERCO booth 2010 SHOT. He's our gracious host. One of the things, and I guess you could say criticisms against the Endura, from me, it's just my data point, Nutnfancy, is the grind. I love the full, flat grinding of knives. It's just, I love it. It slices better, it's more functional, it's more aesthetic to me. To me, it's a more gradual descent to the relief edge. All the things I said in my reviews. And look, see here what we have. Full, flat ground Enduras coming out shortly. Ed, what do you think about those?
I love the full flat grind in that's generally what I use in my custom pieces. I think you pretty well covered the advantages of using that blade shape. but I particularly like the colors.
Aren't those pretty? Look at those. There's others that we're not showing you here. Go ahead, Ed.
One of the issues with all black, and I'll use my own pack to demonstrate that. Black pack, black wallet, black camera, black phone. I zip it open and I can't find anything in it. These bright colors will definitely make it easy to locate the piece. Snap-on Tools and other tool companies have been using brightly colored handles on tools for some period of time now, and it makes it so much easier to locate the tools at the end of the job. And it keeps you, hopefully, from losing a valuable knife.
Amen. Amen. They're really, I mean, this is sick. The reason it's sick is because it's going to make knife addicts like myself want to collect them all. And I know there's a lot of guys that know exactly what I'm talking about. When SPYDERCO does limited runs on these colorations, there's guys that will go out and do their absolute best of collecting each individual blade, and I totally understand it. If I had the money, or if I can get the money, I'm one of them. There's your blue, the green Endura full flat grind, VG10 steel, which we'll talk about here with Ed in just a sec. Purple, I'll show you the Delicas. Well, let's show you now. Also the Delicas, full flat ground, like the Delica G10 that was out earlier in the SPYDERCO line. That's a full flat grind blade, right, Ed?
Correct.
And that's the same type of blade. Look at that brown. Isn't that brown cool looking? There's the gray handle. Gosh, these are going to be huge sellers on the SPYDERCO lineup. They're not in dealer shelves yet. Is that right, Ed?
I can't comment on that, but they will be out this year. They're in this year's catalog.
Excellent. What do you think, sir, of the VG10 steel yourself? You're a knife maker, a knife designer.
I think it's one of the better stainless steels on the market, primarily for two reasons. One, it was designed as a grafting steel for the tree fruit industry in Japan, so it has an ultra-fine grain structure, and that does less tissue disruption when they make a tree fruit graft. So I like that. The second reason is I get very little chipping with it. It has a tendency to roll the edge more like a high carbon steel versus like many other stainlesses have a tendency to chip. And if the edge rolls, you can re-straighten it with VG10 and it will perform well again without having to remove any metal. So the longevity of the blade, the ability to put up with more abusive tasks is very good.
Well said from a master bladesmith, sir. Wow, I did not know the history of the Japanese grafting on the VG10.
The knife is actually stroppable or steelable or buffable back where it will restore the majority of its edge. So those are advantages in that you don't have to remove metal each time to bring it back to the same performance.
Outstanding. And you've chosen it for some of your collaborations, have you not?
My collaborations are generally all made in Japan, and VG10 is generally the preferred steel of the Japanese-made knives.
And I am a huge fan of the VG10. For everything you just said, I find the edge holding, the rust resistance is excellent.
It's a very user-friendly steel that is high performance. It
really is, and it won't break the bank either.
No.
That VG10 offers an incredible level of performance at a lower price point, as demonstrated by the Delica Endura. Also one of my favorites is Nutnfancy 3, which I'm glad to see they're still continuing for 2010. Excellent. Sir, what do we have back here? Let me move these bad boys out of the way.
This is a folder designed by Gail Bradley of Weatherford, Texas. Gail and I were sponsored by Blade Sports International, or to Blade Sports International by SPYDERCO. One of the steels that has shown up to be proved to be a good knife steel that had never really been used much is the CPM M4 steel. It represents about a 25-30% strength increase over normal smelted M4 steel. Fine grain structure, is actually a high-speed tool steel rather than a stainless steel. It was designed to cut metal at high temperatures. and of course machine tool configurations. It is the predominant steel used in the knives and the blade sports competitions at this point. There's been a lot of support by Crucible Metals, Scott DeVanna, to blade sports and to the cutlery industry, making available many different types of high quality steels for testing. There's been many different types of steels tested for the large cutters for blade sports, but M4 seems to hold the edge in a thinner geometry, and thus it's a better cutter.
Excellent. And that's what this steel is in, the M4.
Right. And Gail is very competent, makes excellent slip joints, lockbacks, very nice custom pieces. This knife is made by a subcontractor in Taiwan who's exhibited exceptional ability. All the knives that Gail has received and SPYDERCO have received, I think out of the 1,200 they found one small grinding flaw. Knives have been exceptional in their construction and performance and grind. And combined with the carbon fiber handle, heavy liners, it's a very strong knife. Gail, in order to adapt this knife to production, you can't afford to do a radius scale. It's a flat scale, so I noticed that. The scale is undersized, the liners, so it builds a stepped radius across the back of the knife, and it's more comfortable to hold on to.
Okay, so it's not really squared edge with that. Yeah, that effect is achieved. I can see that. I do talk about that in my reviews, about the ergonomics, and the sharp corners on that really aren't noticeable because of what you're saying. Yeah.
There is a slight bevel on the edge of the scales, but it's hard to slack belt a full radius across the material, and it's very expensive to do that. It takes a lot of abrasives.
Does it? To radius that metal liner, to bevel a little bit?
The actual scale. And the peel ply gives a texture to the surface of the knife that helps the non-slip.
Right. I did a tabletop ed on the outstanding oscillate. I'm sorry, not oscillate, but the stretch. So many names in my head. And this is very reminiscent of the stretch blade shape. I love that knife, and I talked about the peel ply on that. Now, having felt it, it does give better traction than that kind of smooth carbon fiber they used on the native carbon fiber.
Yes.
Do you have any preferences on those two? Which one you like better as a knife designer, knife maker?
The peel ply carbon fiber market is expanding. The number of different weaves available. You'll see weaves coming out next year that are incredibly beautiful, and that they're, rather than two-axis weaves, they're actually multi-axis weaves, and they give a holographic effect as well as grip retention.
So kind of a cool effect too, is in addition to just the functionality of it.
Yes, it's pretty as well as functional.
Right, right.
And of course, extremely lightweight.
It is. This is kind of a heavier knife. I don't have a scale, but I would put this on the order of around 5.5 ounces.
I think it's 5.3.
Okay. And
the liners are heavy.
They're not really skeletonized either.
No. That was something that might happen in the future on certain models. It didn't happen on this knife, but overall this knife will stand up in combination with the construction and the steel. It will handle a lot more abuse than standard steels.
Fair enough. Love that polish job on the clip, by the way. That's a standard SPYDERCO clip, but it has kind of a black chrome finish on it, on that model. That's good looking. Jimping, I know, I was checking it earlier. You guys know I'm big on that. Could be a little bit sharper, and just so you know, Ed, I'm big on that. I like really sharp jimping on models that really digs into the thumb. Call me crazy, that's just me.
Jimping is real effective on many designs and necessary on quite a few of them. Personally, I prefer a handle shape that controls the hand, that requires less grip pressure. So jimping is not as big an issue for me if I feel that my handle design is proper.
Okay, and that's an interesting point, Mr. Shimp, because that's exactly what I saw in your barong. That is a handle shape that's very ergonomic. I mentioned that in my tabletop review. It actually locks into the hand very nice because of the rear extension here. This is meant for the human hand right here. And that's probably why you didn't jimp the barong, am I right?
Correct.
However, you do have the Nutnfancy skateboard tape writing on the side. Do you think that's a bastardization of your knife?
No, it's your knife.
Dudes, you know I keep it real. I got to talk to Mr. Ed here. I love that skateboard mod on there, but the handle, I hate to just keep going on. This knife, you got to handle it to know what we're talking about. Okay, so sir, in summary, the name of that knife again for my fans?
This is the Gail Bradley.
The Gail Bradley, is it going to be listed in the catalog 2010?
Yes, it is. It's available now.
Do you know the price on it? With that steel, I can guess it's going to be a little bit elevated, just somewhat. By the way, does this knife look familiar? It should. There's the Temperance 2, previously reviewed in the Nutnfancy project. I was going to get Sal Glesser out here, but he's in closed-door meetings all day long. For me to sequence my schedule, all the booth reviews I'm doing, dudes, I mean, it is insane. I cannot, I probably won't be able to get them. And honestly, I think we're extremely privileged, I think you'll agree, to be talking to Ed. I know I am. What a gentleman, and extremely knowledgeable on all things knives, and I'm learning from him too. So it's awesome. It's awesome to have these quality dudes here. He's looking up the price on that, and you can ballpark it.
Bradley is at $215 MSRP.
Okay, so there you go. Carbon fiber is going to add the cost. That steel, the M4 steel. Did I get the name right?
Yes.
CPM Crucibles M4. Second type of coal, you know it. That'll probably be limited production. All right, I don't know where I'll dovetail this in, but I will. We've been privileged to have Mr. Ed Shimp be our host here at the SPYDERCO booth. Many thanks, just like I said. And now coming out, Mr. Sal Glesser himself. He's not a camera hound. He doesn't like being on camera. He wants the knives to be the focus of the review, and we will do that. Thank you, sir, for hosting us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do you know of the Nutnfancy project?
Yes, I've seen a number of the videos.
Right on. All right, we have the Temperance 2 out here. One of my critiques, and you guys know I keep it real, is the pricing on this blade. Sal, can you talk about that?
Yeah, pricing is an interesting concept because you have to take into account country of origin, and that's what most people don't think about. The Temperance 2 is made in Seiki City, Japan by a very highly skilled maker. The entire handle, blade, everything is done by hand. So the knife is essentially a handmade knife. We just make more of them. So the cost of the knife is high to begin with, and then the Japanese yen is stronger than the dollar, and so we lose another significant percentage in cost there. So we end up with a knife that seems expensive when you compare it to, for example, a Chinese-made knife, but it's very inexpensive when you compare it to a custom knife, which is what it should be compared to.
Because the quality level, and like I said in my review, is there.
The materials, the detail, and the actual finish.
Excellent. Sal, big fan, and Mr. Ed Shimp and myself were talking about this, of your full flat ground Enduras and Delicas that you've come out with and coming out with.
We've always made Enduras and Delicas with a saber grind. They were hollow, they were flat, saber, but they've always been saber because of the extra steel that's available in that blade for things like prying, which you shouldn't do, but people still do.
Okay.
We've had a lot of requests from customers to go to a full flat because of the better cutting ability of a full flat. We made a G10 Endura and a G10 Delica as an experiment to see how that full flat would work. Reaction was very good. The price was very high. So the next step was to make some lightweights with a full flat. And we made 9,000 blades. And we put them in 5 different colors. And we will judge the reaction of the market by how they react to these knives. If the full flat grind is preferred, then we will do a conversion, certainly of the lightweights. We may still keep the stainless models saber.
Okay. And the H1 models, you mean?
No, the H1s have to be hollow ground.
Okay.
H1 cannot be flat ground.
Interesting.
At least we can't flat grind it. The colors were selected by various managers. We each had to hone in on a color.
Great choices, I say.
We'll see how they come out.
Wow, I love the colors.
They're just being introduced now. We'll start shipping them in a month or so, and we'll have a pretty good idea in 6 months what we're going to do.
Okay, you'll see if they'll continue to integrate them in the line. Excellent. By the way, I accidentally turned the camera off, guys. So embarrassing. But we were talking about the fit and finish that Ed was talking about along the SPYDERCO line, and I will agree, it is as good as any of the manufacturers in the world for a production blade. Like Sal himself said, this Temperance 2 really should be compared against a custom knife for fit and finish. And like I said in my tabletop, it is pretty much tops. And this knife is also a good representative, which we've been discussing.
The handle is skeletonized on the Temperance.
Yes, I love that.
The full flat grind will easily penetrate. And it'll be comfortable in any of the grips, edge in, edge out, reverse, say a hammer. It's a full flat ground hunk of VG10, which is made by Takefu. So it's a performance piece.
And I think, like we said earlier, and I did get that part where you're saying that the manufacturer, you got a really good manufacturer in Seki City, right?
Seki City, Japan.
Yeah, and so, you know, the translation of the monetary units also kind of speaks to the cost of that.
The canvas micarta is made in America and shipped to Japan. And we wanted canvas micarta because of the traction that we feel this knife needs.
Especially wet. Really good traction on that. And you know, Ed, you were talking about this, how this is a very high quality Taiwanese manufacturer on this blade. One of the things I say in my reviews, you guys know this, if you don't believe me, look up my tabletops. As long as quality control is excellent, it really doesn't matter where a knife is made. That's just me. I'm talking about the end product, the quality levels. This is another good example. Good manufacturer, Sal?
The steel is made in America. This is crucible steel. So we ship the steel from America to our maker, and then they use it there.
Okay, and Ed talked in great detail about that CPM M4.
But he talked about Gail Bradley.
He did, yeah. They're friends, is my understanding.
Yes, sir.
Gail
Great
Bradley
respect between the two.
Also was a two-time world champion of blade sports competition.
Enough said. Enough said. What is this knife, Mr. Sal Glesser?
This knife is called the Warrior. It's a variation of the original Warrior design that's been around for probably 35 years. There will be a booklet that's being written now. Actually, it's been written, photos have been taken. We're getting ready to put it into a printed format that will come with the knife. Right now, the knife is being shipped without the booklet, and if you send in a little card letting us know you want the booklet, then we'll be able to send it to you as soon as it's printed. The booklet's being written by Michael Janich, who's been around the knife industry for a long time. The knife is one of the unique concepts in knives that was developed. It was designed for reverse grip edge out, and it's primarily a combat knife, what we call martial blade craft. And the shape is designed to work with the body. So, for example, all of the arcs of the arm are taken into consideration when the knife is used for trapping or grabbing or any of the poking motions.
Right.
The guard is a little different than was on the original models. The original models had the guard coming in so that they could more trap the hand, but this variation was designed by Gary Raffaelli, who works with the Israeli military, and that was the original purpose of this knife. The original knife was drawn by Randy Warner and Bob Taylor. There was some input from Michael Chanis back in the 70s when they were working on the knife. It's been made by a number of people in a number of variations. Al Marr did a version of the Warrior a while back. Bob Taylor's Recat company did a number of variations of the Hobbit Warrior. The sheath is made in the United States by Spec Ops, and they have their requirements together for military purposes.
We did a booth review on Spec Ops and make good stuff.
They make good stuff. The steel is H1.
Yep.
It's an austenitic steel that is work hardened, so it's differentially hardened by the amount of work that's being done. Guy Raffaelli wanted a 4mm thick H1, so it took a little longer to create the knife because of the ability to produce the steel in that thickness. We use a full serration at the top. That was the requirement of the design. In the original Hobbit, the serration is more sawtooth for trapping and grabbing and tearing rather than actually slicing.
Right.
But in this application, they wanted more slicing capability. The handle is skeletonized, so it's light, well balanced. The handle is injection molded. It has bidirectional texturing. It is removable and replaceable.
I want this knife. I will tell you, Sal, since we've been at the booth too, like this dude, I don't know if you want to be on camera, sir, but there's a guy to my right now that's watching this. Everybody is interested in this knife. At the show I've seen. Haven't you, Ed?
Yes, it's a very beautiful design, and it's really been out of production for quite a few years from Almar. So it's sad to see a wonderful design go by the wayside, and to have it recreated in H1 steel by SPYDERCO is about as good as it gets.
I couldn't agree more. And the mere fact, Ed and Sal, that has a SPYDERCO logo on it, for fans like me that are passionate about your blades, it's like a seal of quality. That, I mean, if I were to pick any knife design like the Warrior design to be recreated, I could think of a handful of manufacturers whose name I would like to get stamped on them. SPYDERCO's one of them. It's just fit and finishes tops. H1 steel, Ed, do you have any, what do you think about it overall, especially in this application in the fighting blade?
It's an extremely durable steel. It's practically unbreakable. There were a couple of samples in the cabinet of blades.
We've lost Sal.
Of salt knives that were actually bent 90 degrees without breaking. And then exquisite corrosion resistance, being rust proof.
I'm with you.
I might let you notice that another designer just walked up to the counter, Lassie Zabo.
I don't know if he wants to be on camera. Has he done collaborations with you?
Yes.
It'd be nice to talk to him sometime. I've done reviews of a couple of your H1 folding knives, at least one, there's more coming. I've been very impressed with it, just as an all-around steel.
The corrosion resistance is the big thing about it. The ductility is very important. And use, this knife will not hold an edge quite as long as some others, but you can restore the edge more quickly. It will actually strop or steel back, and it doesn't chip very easily at all. It's very difficult to chip. And of course the corrosion resistance. If this went down with the Titanic and you brought it up today, it would look the same after you cleaned it off.
Hey, is the guard made of H1 as well on this knife?
Yes.
100% H1. How about the screws?
Yes.
Really? All H1, everything on there?
If they're not H1, they're titanium. In order to get total corrosion resistance, you can't use but a few materials.
Understood. Price on that's kind of steep, is it not? Least list?
It's $399.95 MSRP. You should be able to find it at your stores for a little less money, but in that if you would have bought this model from another maker like say Almar 15 years ago when it was available, it would probably cost you double that today. So having this knife available and brought back into the market is a wonderful thing.
What would the rock weld on that be?
the rock wall when this material is delivered is roughly 59, 58.
Oh, it's already hardened.
It's work hardened. It's not a martensitic steel that is hardened by quenching. This is hardened by rolling the material. This material I think is reduced from 8 millimeters to 4, cold, no heat. And under the intense pressure, it actually creates the martensitic matrix with a little bit of nitrogen and carbon that it does have.
Wow. Ed, it's so cool hearing you talk the technical details of H1, everything really, and I'm not just saying that. This will be a reference video for knife guys. Hearing you speak to the steel, I think a lot of guys are going to watch this and just learn from what you're saying. Here we have the limited production native in Desert Tan, and this is one of your raffle knives for the military, right, Ed?
Correct. Every year, or every month, actually weekly letters come in from servicemen serving in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Iraq, and a number of these knives are sent to the servicemen every month. Not being that I'm not a SPYDERCO employee, I don't know the exact details on the numbers, but these knives are sent at no cost to the servicemen to support.
Active duty servicemen and women who enter their names or get their names entered can have this knife. This is not sold, this coloration of native, right?
Right.
It's just the raffle knife supporting the military. Outstanding. I'm a fan of the native CF. Again, Ed, the full flat grind on the carbon fiber native. I love that. I don't know if you were involved with that one.
No, sir.
It's awesome. What's this one right here? That's a good looking blade. Mannix, right?
Well, I think talking about this knife, you can reference the whole SPYDERCO line, and like the Delica, this would probably be the 5th generation of Delica. They're redesigned, been through 5 redesigns at least. Each time they look at warranty and repair, they look at the failures of past designs, and they create a list of things that need to be improved that is addressed in the next generation of Delica and Enduras. This Mannix 2 is along the same lines. There was a larger Mannix, heavier blade, much heavier knife. That was a predecessor of this. Then they made the mini Mannix, and now the Mannix 2. And the Mannix 2 is interesting that it's brought some things to market with proud liners so that they extend beyond the silhouette of the knife. It's like jumping in the handle.
Yeah, they're called proud liners?
Proud liners.
Sticking up,
which flows right into the jumping, but this gives you an exceptional grip surface. And it's on the back. A lot of the pressure points are covered.
Excellent. Jimped on the underneath too, the choil area. I like to see that. Let me see how sharp that is, boss. It's actually pretty sharp, the cutting on that jimping, on the top and the bottom on the Mannix. Nicely done. I love that blue handle, Ed. Here you go.
And the ball lock, SPYDERCO is always looking at different locks. They've had the ball lock. This is an evolution, like a lot of their other things, the cage ball lock. And this lock is extremely strong. The only way to make it fail is for the knife to self-destruct.
Rock on.
But it also is an extremely smooth knife. Operates very positively.
Excellent.
Locks very solidly. There's room, if there's anywhere the ball wears into a tapered groove, and it will always lock up tight.
VG10 steel on that, Ed?
This is S30V.
Oh, even better. Your opinions on that?
S30V was designed by Dick Barber, who worked for Crucible Metals at the time, as an actual entry into cutlery steel. Whereas most of the steels designed are a tool steel or a stainless steel designed for another purpose, adapted with heat treat to the knife world. S30V was designed as a cutlery steel. Dick Barber added a little bit of nitrogen to this steel, and it actually increased the toughness over S60V by a factor of about 4 or 5.
And toughness, you mean the ability of the knife to take abuse, hits, shocks?
I'm basing that basically on a Sharpie test. They take a piece of steel, it might be notched in a given way, and then they drop a given load on it until it snaps the steel. And the amount of pressure or force it takes to snap the steel is an indication of toughness. With S30V, the toughness over S60V is at a factor of about 4 because of the addition of nitrogen in particular. Crucible continues with their metallurgical advancements. Now they have even new models that they've gone to the extent of adding niobium as a grain refiner to produce even a better, stronger steel.
Ed, S30V versus maybe some other alternatives. Let's say 154 CM. Differences in your opinion?
There are some differences. 154 CM is not a powder metallurgy steel, although Crucible has now got a CPM 154 CM, and the CPM process added about 30% strength to the original metal of the 154 CM. It was made popular early on by Bob Lovelace. It was an aircraft steel that he adopted into the knife world and made many of his first stainless knives out of. And it's been around for quite a few years. This is an old traditional steel. Actually, they patterned ATS 34 off of 154 CM.
Do you, if guys ask me, and some guys will come into my project, Ed, and they'll go, well, you know, what steel do you know, or what do you recommend? And I say what I always say, I don't think I'm a steels expert. You're talking to a steels expert. He's a knife maker, knife designer. I'm an end user. I have my preferences like most dudes. So as a knife maker, let's say I throw in the mix, and this is a common question I get, S30V, 154 CM, and add whatever other steel you want in an EDC blade. Let's throw VG10 in there too. Your choice?
Well, VG10 is very good. S30V, S35 VN is an excellent steel. CPM S90V. The new CPM 154 CM is actually even a little stronger than the old smelted 154 CM. So it's got the advantage of the CPM process, and it deals much better with the addition of vanadium to any steel. Traditionally smelted steels have a limitation of about 1.5% vanadium, and then it begins to affect the grain structure negatively. Through the composite particle metallurgy process and forging the steel together rather than smelting it, you don't run into the problems that you ran into increasing vanadium into the mix beyond 1.5%. So that's basic traditional chemistry. The glacial carbiding in the old steels made the steel weak in one direction. In knife steels, it might be alright if it were smelted at a higher temperature because it is a glacial carbide, similar to what David Bowie achieves in his smelted 440C or cobalt steel.
Okay, so the CPM technology gives the knife maker an ability to really fine-tune the grain structure, right? And to get the composition of the steel exactly the way he wants it.
It actually allows for the addition of elements that will not work in the Bessemer process to produce the material.
The smelting process.
Right. You can only do it through the particle metallurgy. It's all smelted and then it's forced through a small orifice and sprayed with nitrogen gas where it forms these small micro ingots. And then then the micro ingots are induction forged, hip forged together, and then rolled to make the knife steel.
How's that for you? Is that technical enough? Huh, I think so. Fascinating. Here's some slip joint knives, guys. UK guys, rejoice. What do you think of these, Ed?
I love the concept, and I like the way that SPYDERCO has adapted these to a slip joint. It's fairly hard to see, but there's actually a recessed notch in the back of the blade similar to a lockback. The end of the lock on the knife has got a little bit of a radius ball, and it falls into that notch and acts more like a detent on a slip joint to keep it open.
They are very they hold the blade stiffly.
But it's very safe. You can put your finger forward, break the knife, and easily close it without cutting yourself.
Excellent. G10 model slip joint. Here's an FRN gray slip joint. These are saber ground. That kind of has a stonewashed finish on it, right, Sal? This one does.
Yes, it is.
That's a beautiful finish.
I'm going to have to...
you got to bug out?
I got a meeting coming up.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. We're shaking Sal Glesser's hand. He doesn't like to be on camera, but he's been a very gracious host to the Nutnfancy project.
About England.
I'll get into that.
I love the finish on that. Awesome. We got
You're familiar with the reason of the UK pen knife with the English knife laws?
They're jacked up. Can't have a locking blade.
Correct. And the blade length there's a limitation of 3 inches.
Right.
So those meets that criteria to create a legal carry blade in the UK. And as England goes, most of the rest of the world has followed. Germany knife laws have changed. Netherlands. There's always a continual flood of change and legality of knives.
Amen. You know, reading in the catalog about the slip joint, I wasn't super stoked about it, Ed. But seeing it in person and seeing how positive that locking mechanism is on it, just like you described, I'm kind of a fan. And look how thin that is, dudes. It's thin and it's lightweight. It's got that very deep carry pocket clip on there. You saw that on the Cali 3, same type of pocket clip, very functional, hardened steel spring. Am I right?
The actual profile of the UK pen knife, the original one, and the Cali 3 was exactly the same without the lock in the back.
There you go. It's very Cali 3-ish. And I misspoke. This one is saber ground. That's full flat grind on that one. So the G10 is going to be the full flat grind UK guys. I got lots of UK viewers too, Ed, and they love SPYDERCO. Man, I just really love the finish on that. That's just gorgeous. Super lightweight, and there's no nested steel liners in this one, Ed. Not really needed for the knife,
necessary. All that you have to do is secure the back bar firmly.
Yeah, and that's a lightweight, everyday carry knife. So I'm a big fan of not putting steel liners in there unless we need to. Finally, moving on. I know your time's valuable. What's that knife?
This is a Tasman Salt. Again, with the H1 steel, has the advantage of the hawkbill blade in a marine environment.
Excellent. And a lot of guys are a fan of the hawkbill. I'm kind of lukewarm to it myself. Call me crazy.
The hawkbill is a little bit like a serration.
Exactly.
It purchases what you're trying to cut.
Yeah.
So it's hard for the medium to slide off the blade when the blade is hooked. So it works very well for, in particular with the serrated edge for poly rope and other problems that sailors run into.
And in that philosophy of use, I think it's outstanding. And like you just said, it's a sailing knife where you want the rope to stay, like just like you're saying, to stay in the blade. Outstanding. I'm going to wrap it up. There's lots of other things I'd love to show you on the SPYDERCO lineup, but I'm out of time. I've got some other booths to hit. Man, is it awesome having Ed Shemp be our host at the SPYDERCO booth. Mr. Sal Glesser there in the background. He came over to talk to you guys in the Nutnfancy project. Great knives, great quality levels, and great price points, honestly. That the quality you get, just like I say in my tabletop reviews, with SPYDERCO is tops. This is Nutnfancy signing off. Thank you, sir. It is a pleasure meeting you. It's a pleasure talking with you. We'll see you online, guys. SPYDERCO booth, SHOT Show 2010. Nutnfancy out. Here it is. This is a native Spyderco 2008 product guide would it be to have an edged weapon? Light enough to carry, we'll talk about that. Actually, right now. Same size deployment hole as it's one blade that has almost 5 inches of reach, like this G10 police model does. It's a big blade.